Year-old mother of two is dead after being shot by her own brother on Christmas Eve. Abrielle Baldwin was trying to break up an argument between her siblings when one of them pulled out a gun. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank reports on what has the sheriff furious and the changes he is now calling for.
Photos Abrielle Baldwin posted to social media show her filled with joy.
She's just a woman going about life, doing her thing with her two kids, trying to make a living, trying to make it.
On Christmas Eve, while at her grandmother's home on 22nd Avenue in Largo, she'd had enough of her brothers bickering. DeMarcus and Darcus began pulling guns on one another.
Abrielle told DeMarcus, quote, "You all need to leave that stuff alone. Why are you trying to start it? It's Christmas."
They both had been fighting over Christmas presents, with the 15-year-old Darcus jealous that their mom had spent more on gifts for 14-year-old DeMarcus. After Abrielle stepped in, DeMarcus pulled a gun and fired, killing her and sending her son and his nephew, an 11-month-old, falling to the ground. Then, Darcus pulled his own gun and shot DeMarcus, leaving him badly injured.
This proliferation of guns on the streets and guns in this area and guns in the hands of these kids, this is the worst I've ever seen it. I don't think we've ever seen it this bad.
The sheriff says the area around 22nd Avenue in Largo has been subject to extra patrols lately, with 13 gun-related incidents since September. He says his office has gotten reports of 17 guns stolen from unlocked cars. He suspects the guns used in this shooting were obtained that way.
And people can't leave their car doors unlocked and leave their guns in their cars. It's got to stop.
Further, the sheriff says both juveniles have been let off the hook too easily by the juvenile justice system, particularly DeMarcus, who has a history of violence against school staff and law enforcement. The sheriff is calling for tougher laws.
They are not getting the consequences that they should get that keep them from doing it again and again and again.
Abrielle was only 23.
Tonight, 4 million Californians remain under high surf warnings after a week of weather whiplash.
Oh my God, no!
The week's dangerous ocean waves nearly capsizing this whale-watching boat near San Diego.
You might be spending the night out there.
Viral videos show this rogue wave in Ventura County crashing over a seawall, sending onlookers running for their lives, and at least 8 people to the hospital. Bartender Jeffrey Wright works at a nearby restaurant which captured the wave on surveillance video.
I come outside to see my car just floating down the middle of the street.
With a high surf warning in Ventura County still in effect, officials there issuing an evacuation warning today.
Is this a spectator sport or should people not be here?
They should not be here.
And here's why these waves in Ventura County are still pretty gnarly. The fire department had to rescue several surfers who got caught in rip currents.
Those big waves crashing close to shore in Laguna Beach. That surf came perilously close to the Surf and Sand Resort just about high tide this evening. And big waves slamming into the ground floor of the Victoria Hotel, also Laguna Beach. So far, no damage, but hotel guests definitely getting a pretty rare sight tonight.
Annapolis teen who helped a co-worker after a shooting is now out of a job this morning. We first brought you Drew Gardner's story on Wednesday after he gave first aid to one of his co-workers who was shot in the head at a Beach Grove KFC. Now he tells us his general manager has let him go.
Our Chase House sat back down with him to find out why he was punished instead of being rewarded.
17-year-old Drew Gardner won't be working his shift Saturday at this KFC on South Emerson Avenue or anyone after that for that matter. Gardner says he was fired after speaking out about his act of heroism after one of his co-workers was shot while on the job. It was just on Wednesday night when Drew Gardner was all smiles after potentially saving his co-worker's life. Now he's sitting on his couch wondering why he no longer has a job.
I was a bit bummed out because I considered most of those people, they're my friends. But I feel like, I don't know, it just feel like a bit like a betrayal in a sense.
It was at the KFC in Beach Grove where police say Gardner's colleague was shot in the head by a former employee Tuesday. And it wasn't until Thursday afternoon when Gardner's mom drove by the restaurant and saw that it had reopened.
When I went in there, I did approach her to talk privately in the back to kind of go over some things about what happened. She refused to go in the back. We had to do it in the lobby in front of customers. It did get heated between her and I. Questions were not answered.
It was that exchange between her and the general manager that led Sears to call police.
The officer, after speaking with me and hearing everything that's going on and hearing that I'm Drew's mom and knowing about the shooting that happened, he did go inside to retrieve the paperwork for Drew's workman's comp. He came out, he said, unfortunately, she wanted me to communicate to you that your son is no longer needed here and this is considered trespassing for you.
Although Gardner says he's disappointed that he was let go from his job, he believes he did the right thing.
Like, I feel like a life is worth more than a job.
Tonight, IMPD is looking for a person of interest in a rape investigation. Police posted a photo on social media tonight saying this is from surveillance video inside of a business on the near west side of Indianapolis where the victim says she was attacked. Tonight, our Emily Longnecker sat down with her to talk about the warning that she has for others.
I feel dirty. I feel ashamed.
She doesn't want you to know her name, see her face, or even recognize the sound of her voice.
I feel like I have to look over my shoulders all the time.
That's because of what she says happened to her last month inside a bathroom in the lobby of this dialysis clinic on West 10th Street. It's where she says a man wearing a mask raped her.
Just as I got done and unlocked the door, he snatched the door open, rushes in, covers my mouth, turns the light off. And I was just in fear of my life.
The woman says she started to scream for help.
He told me if I kept screaming, he was going to stab me.
Community gathering to remember 22-year-old Daniel Williams.
It's really been hard for all of us.
His fiancée, the mother of his young daughter, questioned why Williams, serving a 1-year sentence on a theft charge, was living among violent criminals.
We want answers. That's all we want is answers and why they let it happen. Every time God, I'm ready to come home to my family.
But the young father would never make it home. The victim of a horrific murder, reportedly drugged, hogtied, and raped at Staten Prison in what the Department of Corrections called a possible inmate-on-inmate assault.
This was a preventable death. The 38-year-old suspect in this kidnapping, rape, and torture was involved in 9 instances of sex assault, rape, and stabbing since 2017.
Alabama Appleseed's Carla Crowder calling on a state committee to make unannounced visits to the prisons to have more oversight over a prison system plagued by violence.
Mother of an 8th grade girl stabbed 14 times in a Georgia school gym last spring is now suing the school district for failing to prevent the brutal attack. The lawsuit alleges a school resource officer notified administrators of the school of a knife threat, but nothing was done. Let's bring in Ashley Wilson. She is the victim's mother and her attorney, Andrew Gold. Ashley, as a parent, I just can't imagine what you're going through here with this happening to your daughter. My understanding is the background to all of this is that there was some online bullying directed to one of your daughter's friends. But what happened that day in the school gym?
My daughter had only been at school for about 15 minutes when she was walking to the gym class, and the attacker approached her, harassing her, and other teachers witnessed the harassment and the bullying and did nothing to prevent it.
Korean leader Kim Jong-un has kicked off 2024 with a dire warning to the U.S. This could be the first of many newsmaking headlines coming from the leader as Americans prepare to go to the polls to choose a president. Natalie Brand has more details from Washington, D.C.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un rang in the new year with a rally hours after making new threats. Earlier, Kim ordered his military leaders to, quote, thoroughly annihilate the U.S. and South Korea if provoked. North Korea test-fired its most advanced ballistic missile on December 18th.
Home during a violent incident this holiday week. And the Fresno County Sheriff's Office says their 14-year-old son is responsible. Thanks for joining us for Action News Live at 5. I'm Nick Garcia.
And I'm Graciela Moreno.
That 14-year-old first called 911 to report someone with a gun injured his mom, father, and sister on Wednesday night, but he quickly became a suspect.
Action News reporter Gabe Ferris is outside the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, where deputies are still piecing everything together. Gabe.
Graciela and Nick, just a few hours ago, Fresno County Sheriff John Zanoni told me his department is still investigating a possible motive. He called it an isolated incident and said that there is no threat to public safety.
2 children have lost their mother and father due to the actions by their other sibling.
A 14-year-old boy is behind bars in Fresno, accused of killing his parents and badly wounding his sister in a violent incident on Wednesday night. Lu Yang and Si Vang were at their Miramonte home with their 3 children, a 7-year-old son, an 11-year-old daughter, and a 14-year-old son. That teenage boy is the one who called the police around 7:30 p.m.
I mean, clearly, it was a heinous act. It was, unspeakable, the tragedy of it.
It's a story getting nationwide attention, and tonight we're learning new information on the capital murder case of 18-year-old Savannah Soto and her boyfriend, Matthew Guerra. The couple was found dead with gunshot wounds in their car at a Northwest Side apartment complex on Tuesday, the medical examiner ruling both deaths as homicides. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Avila. San Antonio police today provided an update along with new surveillance video showing persons of interest. As News 4 San Antonio's Stephanie Esquivel reports, SAPD is now asking for the public's help to locate 2 people who they say could have something to do with Savannah and Matthew's deaths.
We are hoping that someone is able to identify the individuals that are seen in this video.
The San Antonio Police Department putting out a plea for the public's help to find the 2 people seen in new video released today. Detectives believe they could be involved in Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra's deaths.
Tell me, are there other aspects of woke that you have sympathy for?
Sympathy?
The fairness end.
Well, I'm for fairness. Number one, but I don't think, I just think the woke movement has just gone too far.
Yeah.
Okay? I can be fair and not be woke.
Yes, I agree.
I can be a caring person and not be woke. I care about people. That's why I do what I do. I feel like when I came out, 2015, it's been 8 years. At first I thought I could change the world. I thought, wow.
No.
Because my last conversation I had before I decided to do this was with God.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to church all the time, but I'm a person of faith. So that's always been in the back of my mind. Like, God, why did you do this to me? I think anybody who has challenges in life and they have any faith in their heart whatsoever, they ask, why did you do this to me? And here my whole life I've been dealing with my identity and who I am. And is there a reason for this? Am I doing the right thing? And when I go up that day, you walk up the stairs into the pearly gates and God's sitting there. And I said, my God, did I do a good job? You want him to say yes. And so I've been thinking about all of that for so long that my last person I had to talk to, and I was walking through a field, I remember, and said, God, am I doing the right thing? Is there a reason for this? And I just got the feeling that it was like, it's okay. You can do this. You can live your life authentically. I felt like he said yes. And it was kind of like the last thing I needed. And that's when, besides all my children, because I had talked to all my children about this, that I had to know I was doing the right thing. And that me coming out could change and save a lot of lives. That's what I was hoping, but especially at first. Because obviously I couldn't do it privately.
No.
I was already a big-time celebrity.
Big time.
Big time. I was known all over the world. I thought about, why don't I just move to Alaska to the backwoods and live in a place, but I'd have to leave all my children. I'd leave all the things that I couldn't do it that way. So if I do it, I just have to try to do it right.
2 Timothy, the Bible talks about the dangers of the last days in 2 Timothy chapter 3, starting at verse 1. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. They are the kind who work their way into people's homes and win the confidence of vulnerable women who are burdened with the guilt of sin and controlled by various desires. Such women are forever following new teachings, but they are never able to understand the truth. These teachers oppose the truth just as Jannes and Jambres oppose Moses. They have depraved minds and a counterfeit faith, but they won't get away with this for long. Someday, everyone will recognize what fools they are, just as with Jannes and Jambres. Also, to Matthew chapter 24, starting at verse 4 says, Then Jesus told them, Don't let anyone mislead you. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah. They will deceive many, and you will hear of wars and threats of wars. But don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world. But all this is only the first of the birth pains. Then more will come. Then you'll be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers. And many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will go cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And the good news about the kingdom will be preached throughout the world so that all nations will hear it. Then the end will come. Also, too, in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, starting at verse 9, it says, Don't you realize that those who do wrong will not inherit the kingdom of God? Don't fool yourselves. Those who indulge in sexual sin, or who worship idols, or commit adultery, or are a male prostitute, or practice homosexuality, or are thieves, or greedy people, people that are drunkards, people that are abusive, or cheat people, none of these will inherit the kingdom of God. Some of you were once like that, but you were cleansed. You were made holy. You were made right with God by calling on the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and by the Spirit of our God.